everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Lately, I've been doing these legacy editions, getting to talk with folks and creative families. Last week, I talked with Ron Chaney, the grandson of Lon Chaney, and this week I am talking with Maryann Charles, whose father is Al Plastino, a name you might know from work like Supergirl being one of those, as well as one of the creators of the Legion of Superheroes, Brainiac, and other such characters. So, Maryann, thank you for joining and talking with me.
Sure, no problem.
Glad to have you, and certainly glad to talk about your father's legacy. And I suppose, as a means of an opening question, that might be the place to go. What would you want listeners to know about Al Plastino?
Well, first of all, he was really quite a good artist. Most of the guys back in that time, most of them wanted to be fine artists, but they did the comics as a way to take care of their families.
Mm,
He, unfortunately, he became more famous for his comic book art than his fine art. Although he was a great artist, and if you want, I can give you a couple of paintings he's done that
please do. Yeah.
almost. And obviously, he was born in Manhattan, 1923, I think. So he did not go to, a formal fine arts school. He went to the High School of Industrial Arts, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And there he also grew up and worked with him and hung around with guys like uh, Jerry Siegel. Well, Jerry didn't go to the High School of Industrial Arts, but he had met him there in Manhattan. Um, Nick Cardy. He was. I don't know if you know who Nick Cardy is. Nick was
Mm-hmm.
really famous for Aquaman and Carmine Infantino, who created the Flash. All those guys hung around together. Went to the same high school. If anybody knew that, I don't know if you knew that.
That's cool.
So
I did not know that. That's very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I don't know if you know anything about Carmine. Was the art director over at DC
Uh-huh.
in the
Uh-huh.
60s, I think, was it? And Nick, also, I think he did Teen Titans as well. But anyway, to make a long story short, I would want people to know that all these guys were amazing artists. When
Hmm.
I went to art school too, I'm a creative director. When I went to college, I thought for sure there would be people like my father and like Nick and Carmine. There was no one like him.
Yeah.
So these guys were amazing renderers. I mean, he drew everything out of his head,
Mm.
which is, I'm sure there are guys like that now, but computers do a lot of the work that these guys used to do by hand. So
Yeah.
they have become a rare breed,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's
Absolutely.
really the main thing I'd like them to know
Yeah.
about my father.
Yeah. Amazing legacy. And there must have been something really good in the water at that high school, or something was going well in that curriculum, or something like that, I imagine.
They hung around together, so maybe there was competition going on between the three of them, and they would all go to copy the fine art, the artists. They would go to the Metropolitan Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan, and
Hmm.
Metropolitan would allow these guys to uh, paint on Saturdays. So my father would bring his easels and his sketch pads and his paints, and they would allow them to have sittings, and he'd sit in front of Monet and copy a Monet or copy Chagall or whoever he wanted to, felt compelled, and that's
Hmm.
really how he learned his trade. How most of these guys did, I think, were these three. Anyway, that's the story my father would tell.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm always cognizant. I post these interviews online and I try to, when I'm talking particularly about someone that does art, I try to front load the idea of artist and comics creator as well, because it certainly isn't a limited skill in any way. We were talking about how comics are part of this American literature that is so much a part of our society as well.
oh, definitely. And uh, the subject I suggested what was very indicative of that. I mean,
Hmm.
JFK
Hmm.
wanting to tap into Superman to promote his physical fitness program when he was president, which was something very new and different.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of coincidental, or not, maybe not coincidental, that RFK Jr. now is the head of Health and Human Services
Hmm.
in in the administration in the government. So, and he's wanting to do the same thing that his uncle did back in 1963. So,
Yeah.
so
Interesting parallels.
yeah, very interesting. So,
Yeah. Now, what was that story like? What was that experience as you know it of your father getting to work sort of from comics, but then also in this very social and political arena as well?
well, back then it was a great honor for him, obviously, because it was John F. Kennedy.
Hmm.
Um, and John and Kennedy, and back then when my father was drawing Superman, and he was really well known for Superman. He was one of the main artists. Um, Superman was super popular. I mean, it was like um, all the kids went out and bought comic books back then, and that was the main character. That and Batman, but Batman wasn't even that popular at that point. I apologize. Let me just
That's
turn this.
okay. That's okay. It's good flashback music. It works.
Okay, my ring camera at the front door. Um, so um, that was John Kennedy's way of trying to get the word out to the kids. Um, and the that's how he started the program. Unfortunately, in '63, Kennedy died before the comic was going to be published, and they weren't going to put it on the, they weren't going to publish it.
Hmm.
But my father went back after Kennedy was assassinated and met with Lyndon Johnson and Pierre Salinger. You don't know if you remember who Pierre Salinger was. He was the press secretary at the time.
Hmm.
And they had a meeting, and he decided he was going to. They wanted to publish it in honor, the president. So obviously, if you see in the comic book, that was the main page. That was the dedication
Yeah.
with to Kennedy. And I've got sketches here too. And uh, if you feel like posting them, while my
I'll be
father was
glad
sitting
to.
in the while he was sitting in the meeting, he sketched Johnson, Lyndon Johnson. He sketched Peter Salinger, and I don't know who the other gentleman was in the meeting, but I really would like you to show them because it shows exactly what kind of an artist he was. You'll see when I hope you post them.
I will.
Um,
Yes. Hmm.
he's an awesome. He was an awesome renderer, and so um, I pulled those out for you as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be sure and get those in the video. And uh, now, what was it like for him, from your perspective, to get to go to these meetings, to go to these places, and contribute in this way?
Well, he was. I mean, he used to talk about this all the time when the family would get together. He was so honored. My father grew up in the Bronx. He didn't consider himself high society in the least. He was drawing comic books, which back then was not prestigious at all.
Hmm.
So to be invited by the Kennedy administration and to be invited by Lyndon Johnson to come and sit and finish this book and do this book and have DC commission him to do it was really, I think, the the top of, I mean, the prime of his career. He was really, really, really very impressed by all of this. Felt a sense of uh, duty and to create a book to help with the physical fitness program. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so were he here today, what do you think that your father would be working on, focused on? Uh, I know that he worked on Superman, which is this centrally American character and one of the original characters in comics. What do you think he would be thinking about at this point in time?
well, if he was still alive, he'd be 103 years old. So, and I
Hmm.
know he wanted to make it to 100, but he didn't. He died at 91. Before he died, he was going to Comic Cons. and he was just starting to become pretty well known, and he was guest speakers at many of them for the younger kids, you know. So I think that's probably what he'd still be doing if he had the energy to. He would be going to Comic Cons,
Yeah.
signing books, that type of thing. Um, Pretty much, I think that's it. And he'd go play golf. He loved to golf.
Yeah, yeah. Time for self. Time for self.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've just more recently, I've been a comics fan for decades now, but I've more recently gotten into convention spaces, and it's a great way to connect with fellow fans, with creators. So I'm sure that lots of people out there have good memories of meeting him at the conventions that he was at. Um, if listeners out there want to find out more about Al and his work and legacy, are there particular places they can go? Any place they might visit to find out more?
Oh, well, you could Google his name to start off with, and there's
Mm.
a bunch of different locations. You could also go to dc.com. DC Entertainment has archival stories about him, and DC Database. But again, just if you Google his name, a lot of things will come up. Some things are incorrect. Like I
Mhm.
just noticed, he's on one of the talent sites, and they're crediting him as a writer, but that's not really what he was. He was an artist. You know, he did all the penciling and inks. Superman, Batman was what he's best known for. Supergirl, obviously, he created Supergirl, Brainiac, Legion of Superheroes, and he worked with some of the more popular writers. He worked a lot with Jerry Siegel, who is
Yeah.
one of the creators, because he and Jerry, you know, oh well, Jerry, you know, he didn't start. My dad didn't go to work for DC until 1948, but they got along really well. So Dad wound up doing a lot of stories with Jerry, and co-creating some of the Legion characters. Jerry got credited for some of them. I don't know why, because I thought it was Otto Binder who worked on them with Dad.
Mhm.
Uh, but one of the sites is saying Jerry did. So Dad could have, you know, he could have. And I remember Jerry. He was a very nice man. Um, he worked on a lot with Otto, though. All the created characters with Otto Binder. Bill Finger, he did the Superman story, JFK story with. Uh, E. Nelson Birdwell, I don't know much about him. The only story he did with E. Nelson Birdwell also was the President Kennedy story, but it was mostly Bill Finger, Jerry Siegel, Otto, those guys. They were
Yeah.
the writers, not Dad.
Any particular memories that stand out of any of those people?
Oh yeah, well, Mort Weisinger. I don't know if you
Uh,
know who Mort Weisinger is.
hmm.
My father did not get along with Mort, so my father had a studio. First, we were in New Jersey, and we lived in Wyckoff, New Jersey when he was drawing Superman mostly. And when he drew the JFK story, he had a studio in our garage. Um, it was heated and stuff. But I remember my mom, uh, Mort would call and summon my father to the phone, and my father would be cursing under his breath. What does he want me to do now, or what does he want me to change? And they butted heads quite a bit.
Hmm.
Because Mort had one idea, my father thought he was nuts about some of the things he wanted to do, which actually turned out to be quite popular. Like the new Superman movie coming out has crypto. You know,
Yes.
my father was one of the first to draw crypto. No one credits him for that, but he drew crypto and the cat. I forgot what the cat's name was, but he did a lot with crypto. So I've got one sketch that he did of him, of Superman, Supergirl, and Crypto. That's the only one I have, though. I don't have anything else. You know, when my dad died, it was so sudden.
Hmm.
We didn't really consider a lot of the things he did to be that important, but looks like crypto's going to be kind of popular soon. But we'll
Yeah.
see. See what happens with the movie.
There was quite a social media and fan response to getting to see crypto. So, yeah, glad to put that sketch in as well if you'd like me to share it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be really. He's got. Yeah. You'll see what his crypto looks like. It's kind of similar to what James Gunn's doing,
Yeah.
and I actually kind of. I think it's kind of nice because of what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, the way with the and how he brought animals into that. I thought that
Mhm.
was really fun. So hopefully, you do something fun with crypto too.
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
it
I
different.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, anything that we've missed in the talk through that you want to make sure to share, I do want to give you the space to share anything about memories or the legacy that you'd like.
mainly, like I said, the JFK comic book. Uh, I thought the correlation, like I said, between him, what JFK and doing and this is kind of neat.
Hmm.
Um, I would want people to know that all these guys, uh, I don't think they ever thought that Superman or Batman would be as popular as it is today, or that
Yeah.
any of the superheroes would be as popular. But it's really nice to know, and it's really, I want to thank his fans because they see the talent. A lot of them do.
Hmm.
And I think my dad would be just really, really happy that he made, you know, impressed all these people and was a part of their lives growing up, you know. The stories I get uh, when on the Facebook page, I used to have a website, now I just have the Facebook page, and I keep it up for him,
Hmm.
for his fans, because I liked hearing from people because it makes me feel good. Brings back memories for me as well. So
Yeah.
I love hearing from people. But the main thing is that his fans recognize so much about him. They actually know more about him than we did. You know, I learned from them,
Mhm.
which I thought was really, really, really impressive. That they were so dedicated and saw so much in what he created. So that's what I'd like to do is just thank the people that kept his legacy alive
Yeah.
because I know he'd be very happy about that.